Hey y'all, it's Tina. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be making these delicious and affordable tuna patties and comeback sauce. So to start, the ingredients: 2 green onions, 2 tablespoons of parsley, 1 12-ounce can of chunk-light tuna in water, 1/2 cup plain breadcrumbs, 1 large egg, 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. I used Hellmann's Light, 1½ teaspoons of lemon juice, and 1 teaspoon of seasoned salt. Start by mixing the tuna, parsley, green onions, breadcrumbs, 1 egg, a couple tablespoons of mayonnaise, a teaspoon and a half of lemon juice, and a teaspoon of seasoning salt. And instead of using any type of spoon or anything, I'm just gonna go straight in with my hands. If it squicks you out, feel free to use gloves or a spoon or, I don't know, whatever you want. But I mean, look, is it pleasant? No, it's not. But the sink is right across the room. Once I get it mixed, and not too much, you just want it mixed, not overworked. Once it's mixed, we'll just go to the sink, wash the hands. Once our hands are all clean, we're really gonna go right back in there just to make sure everything is smooth and flat. And we're gonna use the same bowl that we mixed it in to measure out the 4 portions. I'll just cut it in half. Not too great at dividing things equally. This is probably a disaster as well, but hey, it's gonna be all right. It's just tuna patties. Now, to shape it into patties, I'll just take my patties and put them on a cutting board. Just use the lines that I drew with my butter knife to get equal amounts, or as equal as I can. And I think it's probably pretty important to not compress it too much. The recipe doesn't say so, but generally when you have like a meatball, but I have a feeling that you don't want to compress it too much. That's probably not gonna provide the greatest texture. So and then we're gonna turn the stove on to medium. While it's heating up, I'm gonna add a couple of tablespoons of vegetable oil. Use any oil you want. You know, canola is probably fine, avocado. Anyhow, it calls for 2 tablespoons. Sometimes I feel like recipes call for a lot of oil, so I'm not gonna maybe put 2 tablespoons. I didn't really measure it again, so maybe just 2, no, there's no way. Yeah, that's probably 1 tablespoon, but it looks like enough, to be honest. So I'll let that get hot and then we'll put the tuna patties in. Once the oil is hot, we're gonna cook the tuna patties for about 5 minutes on each side, or until they're really brown. Now, while the tuna patties are on the stove, I'm gonna make this really quick sauce. It's called comeback sauce. The blog recommends this as a sauce, and I'll fill up the 1 cup halfway, and 2 tablespoons of ketchup, which I'm just going to eyeball, and then 1/2 tablespoon of Worcestershire, which I will also eyeball, 1/2 teaspoon of Dijon, 1/8 teaspoon of hot sauce. That's probably right about 1/8. Now for the spices, I'm not gonna go to a place I know I don't belong. I'm gonna measure the spices. So 1/4 teaspoon of smoked paprika is what the recipe calls for. I only have regular paprika, so that's what I'll use. Sometimes I have smoked, but I'm all out. Now we need 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder. And the last 2 things are 1/8 teaspoon of salt. I always tend to use kosher salt. And for pepper, I just crank it, see what happens. So back to this, since the patties are needing to be turned soon, just gonna give this a mix using a spatula. And I figure if my recipe, or if my sauce looks similar to the one on the blog, maybe I eyeballed pretty good. So looks good to me. I'm gonna go ahead and put it in the refrigerator until the patties are done. And we're gonna cook it for, again, about 5 minutes on each side. And since the pan is nonstick, they're kind of sliding on their own, so that's totally fine, but just don't force them if they're sticking to the pan. After 5 minutes, I'm going to check and see if they're brown. And if they are, I'll turn them all. And then we'll cook for 5 more minutes. After 5 minutes, they're completely cooked. and browned on both sides. So now I'll plate them. Here's the finished dish. I'm gonna be so honest, these tuna patties are delicious, but the sauce might be my favorite part. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll be back next week with another recipe. Bye!